Hello and welcome to Frame by Frame, a podcast by Saffron Screen, your local non-profit cinema in Saffron Walden. Each episode we dive into the month of cinema ahead, review a recent film and keep you up to date with all of the exciting things at Saffron Screen. My name is Riley and I'm here with Zach and Amelie once again, and it's February, it's 2026, so let's get right into it. There we go. Same thing. It has been so long since that, we've both, all three of us have been on an episode, though.
It's good to be back, though.
Yeah, it is. It's, we've got lots to talk about and catch up on. But I think, the first thing is obviously nominations for Oscars and Oscars and BAFTAs, isn't it? But yeah, I think the first thing that I was going to ask both of you is, was there anything on the Oscars or BAFTAs list, on the nominations list, that surprised you, or that didn't surprise you, or...
So I have, in terms of being surprised, I already have a personal investment in the Oscars specifically, which is to say, obviously, my Oscar predictions last year were pretty good. I had the Anora run last year.
They were very good.
I got, I think it was 4 out of 6 or whatever however many things we did. So I thought, you know what, I might place a little bet on the Oscars. Just a small thing, only a small bet to just sort of not one I thought was going to win, but just one that I thought, okay, this has got a good chance, and I've got really good odds on it, right? So, and I thought, I'm going to be even more clever, because I'm going to go for two people who are not likely to win, so the odds will be good on them, and before the nominations come out, because when they get nominated, all the odds are going to shrink, right? So then it's not going to be nearly as profitable to bet on them. And so I went with, again, I had 25 to 1 odds on both, which I thought were pretty good, which was Paul Mescal and Chase Infinity.
No.
These people both were nominated at SAG, they were nominated at the Golden Globes, they were also nominated now at the BAFTAs, both of them. The one place they won, the Oscars. So I was pretty upset with that. I thought there'd at least be some suspense.
Did you lose?
Oh, no, it wasn't a lot.
Still.
I bet. Yeah, it was a small amount of money I bet because the odds were so good. Yeah, exactly. I was just I thought as well it would make the Oscars more interesting for me. I'd be way more into it. It'd be it would make Best Supporting Actor a really exciting category for me to watch. But no, because Paul Mescal wasn't nominated, and then Chase Infinity wasn't nominated for Best Actress. So I don't even have that tension anymore. So lesson learned, I guess.
I think personally, I would have put money on Paul Mescal if I'd have thought of doing it. That's a very fair thing that you've done. And I think it's his best performance to date. So,
are you on Matt Hamner?
The Academy don't think so. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. I'm behind. But
oh, you haven't? Oh, you're in for a treat.
It is very good.
A treat and a cry.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I think Jessie Buckley obviously was nominated, and I saw the odds on her. She was already, before the nominations, you had basically she was already a favourite. To win even before nominations came out. Obviously she's won the Golden Globe, so I think with Best Actress, I feel like, in my opinion, there's a few good candidates on the list. In both the BAFTAs and the Oscars, but I suspect she's going to win in both, in my opinion. I think it's a very strong performance, and it seems it's got a lot of buzz around it. I think because she's an Irish actress, and Irish and British actors tend to do much better at the BAFTAs. I think she will almost definitely win the BAFTAs. Slightly more in question with the Oscars, but I still think she is the front runner quite clearly.
Got a good chance.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely one that we can all already cross off our Oscar predictions list, because it's just bound to happen.
Yeah, it's you'd like it to be a bit more of a competitive race, but it is just, there are some interesting things going on with both this Oscars and BAFTAs race, particularly with the Oscars. I think there was a film maybe people didn't expect. Obviously, we had a record-breaking film with Sinners being nominated for 16 Oscars, which is now an unparalleled record. No other film has had 16 Oscar nominations. That's something that's a little bit more surprising than, say, Jessie Buckley winning or getting nominated. I was quite surprised by it, because the Academy usually doesn't reward genre films as much as they've chosen to here.
I mean, we've seen a massive spike in horror being nominated this year. I mean, what with the Best Actress for Weapons. I mean, like, the horror doesn't have nearly as much recognition other years as it does this year. I think it's been a very good year for the genre as a whole. I mean, I love Sinners, so I might stay quiet if
You're...
Yeah, I'm an absolute diehard fan of Sinners, but
So this will be the film that you're rooting for the Oscar season.
Even though I don't think it's going to take everything, obviously, but I'm hoping it takes quite a lot.
Yeah, and of course, actually, weirdly, 2 British actors nominated in Sinners as well. I mean, one's British-American, but regardless, still 2 British actors nominated. But yeah, it is interesting, like, seeing a horror film get nominated, because I think, in terms of Best Picture, I think horror films before this have only been nominated 3 times, I think, and that's Silence of the Lambs, which obviously won it. I think it's still the only horror film to have won. The Sixth Sense and Get Out, I think, before this, are the only 3 horror films to ever get nominated for Best Picture, and of course only one has won it, so it'd be interesting to see if Sinners can. I think I don't think it's likely to win the BAFTA. It could win the Oscar for Best Picture, but I think it's really down to 3, I think, with Best Pictures for the Oscar, and I think that's Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, or Sinners, and my money here, and I think this will be the big winner. It was the second most nominated movie. My bet is for One Battle After Another, I think, is the one that's,
You said that
right now.
Yeah, when you were talking about it on the podcast, you said that. You said that it just feels like one of those projects that is a no-brainer to at least be nominated anyway, but possibly win as well. I think after the podcast, I think we should do a little sweepstakes without the money element, and then we can maybe we can post it on socials before the actual ceremony.
It'd be good to do.
That'd be interesting. Get people chatting and discussing.
Did anyone have any instincts before we move off on Best Actor, either for the BAFTAs or Oscars?
No, I hadn't had a chance to think about it too much, but I saw Ethan Hawke in Blue Moon, and he was brilliant. It was just such a dialogue-heavy piece, which in no way is a criticism. It was just, that's what it was, and I think he delivered really well, and kept your attention as well, because it was so heavy with the dialogue, and it was all set in the same place. It's kind of a recipe for same location, loads of speaking, loads of dialogue. It's going to be boring, and it wasn't. And I think he really did well. So I think I was glad to see him in Best Actor category. I need to watch a couple of more of the nominations, because I haven't seen all of them for Best Picture and Best Actor and Actress. But
it's hard to watch all of them.
It is. I mean, I'm not gonna.
Especially with our UK rollout system. I mean, you've got so many coming out at the same time in January, and there's a few that are just like one showing here, one showing there, and it's really it's horrible, because I want to be watching these movies in the cinema if I haven't had a chance to catch them before. It's just so difficult to fit all of them in.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, even Academy voters had been voting without having seen many of the movies recently. It's a new recent change. They've now made it so they have to register that they actually watch the films that they're voting on, which will be interesting to see how that then affects the results. Of course, there's also for the Oscars, there's also a new category for Best Casting as well. Yeah. So that, which is probably factored into why Sinners was actually able to get that record-breaking number of nominations, because I believe it was nominated in that category, which is obviously a category that hasn't been open before. So it's kind of a new, interesting game to kind of win. There are some good British films at the BAFTAs that have been nominated. So The Ballad of Wallace Island is competing in a few ones, but also I Swear, which I really... I don't think it will, but Robert Aramayo is actually nominated for Best Actor at the BAFTAs. And I really love his performance. I really hope that wins, but I do think that Charlemagne is going to prove unbeatable in the awards season. Yeah, unfortunately. But I would love to see him win. I feel like there's got to be a big. I want to see a big British win in one of the big categories at the BAFTAs that isn't a British specific category, if you know what I mean. Yeah. So.
And I was so pleased to see I Swear there, because I just. Yeah, everyone that saw it at Saffron Screen just loved it so much, and it's so important. And you were saying about, like, when we were talking about not being able to see all the films on the big screen, we do have, like, holder places in our April programme or end of March for Oscar winners. So Best Picture, I can't remember which categories we usually go, but a lot of the big winners we will have on, regardless of if we've had it on before or not. So I'm kind of holding out for that, because if there's some that I haven't seen and we have them back, I will be watching them. And that's kind of why we do. We bring back them because people haven't seen them, or they want to see them again now that they've got that kind of that title to whatever they win. So that will be coming up. I believe it's in April. Like, we've already got, like, Oscar winner, like, penciled into the program. Yeah. So we will obviously be talking about that nearer the time. However, just a little bit of a heads up. But so there will obviously be more Oscar talk and BAFTA talk when it gets to that point in the year. But for now, we're going to talk about 2 films, and then I'm just going to give a little bit of information about some special GOAT screenings, but more of that later. And it will all become clear. But for now, let's just get stuck into the first film. So I'm going to hand you over to Zach.
Yeah, so I was talking about how I would like to see a few British wins and, like, some of the big categories, the BAFTAs, and potentially maybe this is one that might snap up a few for next year's Oscars. Potentially, this is a new British film about a British sporting icon. So this is Giant. It's written and directed by Rowan Athel. I'm not quite sure. He's not a very well-known director, but this film is also executive produced by Sylvester Stallone, which you'll see has relevance when I explain what the film is about. So the premise of Giant is that it follows the life of British boxing legend Prince Naseem Hamed. If you're into boxing at all, this is a name that you'll be familiar with. Others might not be, but he still has quite an interesting story. But he was a young lad growing up in Sheffield, quite a working class guy. He was from a Yemeni background, and he rose from these kind of humble beginnings to be a world champion boxer. He was kind of just excelled from an early age under the tutelage of his coach Brendan Ingle, who was played by Pierce Brosnan in the film. They had quite an interesting relationship. They started to sort of fall out later in their careers or in their journey, and that's kind of what the film centres on, is that central relationship rather than just focusing on Prince Naseem's kind of rise and fall, as it were. So this was originally in development with Paddy Considine playing Brendan Ingle and Mina Massoud to play Prince Naseem, but the project fell out for a number of years, and it kind of was out of development. And then when it re-emerged, it re-emerged with these new cast members. That's Pierce Brosnan and Amir El-Masri, who is not an actor I'm familiar with, though I've heard a lot of critical praise in this movie and for some of his previous performances. Yeah, for those who don't know who Prince Naseem is or don't know anything about this story, it might be kind of good to outline what this film is really about. I've kind of indicated a little bit. But so Prince Naseem was, like I say, this kind of working class kid from Sheffield. And he was a world champion bantamweight and featherweight boxer. He was a British icon in the 90s, and he was known for his sort of flamboyant style and personality during fights. So he would begin fights by front flipping into the ring. He would like dance, like kind of like during his fights, kind of like bobbing and weaving, and he'd like be moving his feet around and kind of very much showboating. This was something that was kind of ingrained into him actually by his coach, Brendan Ingle. So he's kind of got that style that is kind of cinematic in nature. You know why they would want to make a film about this guy, because he just has such an interesting style to watch and had that big personality as well. He was very cocky, kind of very arrogant in some ways, and that was ultimately what led to some of the breakdown with his relationship with his coach. So the real kind of story behind it was that Engel had been training him since he was a very small child. Like he was literally like 5, 6 when they started like training him. Engel had originally set up this boxing gym, which was a youth club originally. It was at the request of a local vicar. It was just something to do. Engel had been a boxer himself. He was a journeyman. He didn't have a particularly good record, but this was a skill set he knew and that he could teach kind of youngsters in the local area. And it was quite clear that Prince Naseem had this skill from a very, very early age, and Engel kind of saw greatness in him and wanted to cultivate it in him. He was a victim of a lot of bullying, and that was one of the things that actually drew Brendan Ingle towards him. He was bullied for, partly because of his Yemeni heritage and things like that, and he kind of said, turn that kind of bitterness, turn that kind of cockiness and arrogance you have with that experience into something, good to motivate you. And so again, he was this crazily good kid when he was even like 12. He was like an amazing boxer. He became a professional at the age of 18, and he was a world champion by 21.
Wow.
I should say not a British champion, a world champion by age 21. He'd already been a European and a British champion by that point.
Of course he had.
Yeah, so he was incredibly talented, and he became a very big star and a kind of a cultural icon. There's a lot of things, even like art. I've even seen mangas which kind of influenced by his personality and his fight style. And he became this very big star, and their relationship sort of become way more tense. And eventually, Naseem split with Ingle, and he found a different coach. There's sort of disputed reasons as to why this happened, but Prince Naseem was quite critical of a book that Ingle had written or he'd contributed to, where he kind of accused Naseem of being corrupted by money and by fame, and so that was the reason for the split. And in return, Naseem actually accused Ingle of wanting all of his money. He said, "I'm a millionaire now, and now this guy's wanting me, to get 25% of my purse. He's this, he's that," and so there's that big fallout afterwards. Or Naseem didn't fight that many times after the split. He lost one fight and then shortly after retired, but before the age of 30. So he was, again, sort of a very quick career but had a long impact. So, and unfortunately they were never able to reconcile their differences, and that's kind of, in some sense, this film sort of plays on that. So Brendan Ingle died in 2018, and they were never able to resolve their differences. So an interesting thing about this movie is that Prince Naseem Hamed actually had no involvement in the film.
Ooh, that's interesting.
At all. And he's now become involved with the film's promotion.
Okay.
And it's quite strange, because even when you hear him talk about it and he gets asked, is how they presented you accurate? Do you like how you're presented in the movie? This is, for promotion for the movie, he says, no, I don't.
Wow.
He doesn't. He says, I don't think it's accurate. And he says, I'm going to release a documentary as well about it all that's going to be more accurate. But says, in spite of that, says it's a really good film. And in particular, he said actually some of the fictionalized scenes, he says, kind of allowed him to get a resolution and a reconciliation with Brendan Ingle that he never actually got in real life.
Oh.
And so this is something that he's said he's kind of liked about the film. He's really loved. He said he found Pierce Brosnan to be uncannily actually like the real Brendan Ingle, and so he's kind of resonated with this film, despite the fact that he kind of thinks it's inaccurate, and he's backed it, and he was promoting the film on radio, doing interviews for it. And I just think that's a really interesting part of it, because he literally wasn't involved with the whole production and has only jumped in right at the end from the promotion.
Yeah, that is very interesting. I mean, I know there's reasons for him doing it, but that is really interesting for the fact that he's just got involved in the promo and he's openly said no, he doesn't think it's accurate, or but
I was just gonna say, I guess there's a lot to be said about how moral that really is, that you've got this person like highly having like a lot of aversion to kind of how they're portraying him, but also, I mean, you do see that happen, but it's quite often where biopics have sort of given them impact in the film, but they've just not done it very well. But for him to have no real impact at all in pre-production, but that for them to then use him to profit off and promote the film is very, very interesting.
Yeah, it's a strange situation, because he wasn't actually aware of the film being made even when it was made, and that was so the way they kind of got around it, and this is what he said, is basically they based it off of a book about him and about Brendan Ingle, which is supposedly what the film is adapted from, although it's sort of known. And the director even said to Prince Nazim, he asked him, is everything in the film just from that book? And he said, oh, no, it's not. But like, that's just the way we could get the film made, was basing it off the book. Despite that, Prince Nazim likes the movie. He's a big fan of the movie, but he doesn't think it's accurate. So it's kind of an interesting thing. He sort of said, like, guys, calm down. Like, it is a movie. It's a bit of entertainment. It does tell the story. It's not a complete fiction at all, but I don't quite like how everything is portrayed in it, which is quite brave, really, as a marketing.
Yeah, they took a massive leap of faith in that, like, kind of assuming that he would be okay with it, and it's good that he is. But if he wasn't, they'd be in for a whole lot of other problems.
So it's kind of always interesting, like, should you seek approval of coverage of certain people? It's like, can you make a film, for example, about Mark Zuckerberg without his approval, or about whoever, you know what I mean? Which obviously they've done and adapted from books, and it's like, at least in this case, obviously the person's got on board, but you do often see people absolutely, kind of railing against how they're presented, or maybe even how, if it's a historical biopic, like how the family has been presented.
It's
in this case, very unique situation.
Yeah, it is, and I know there's the argument that, it comes with fame, it comes with being in the public eye, but I don't agree with that, because regardless of how, like, if you're a household name or not, it is difficult, because it's unique for every single person that the biopic is about. It is, like Andy said, it was a massive leap of faith to do it without his consent.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's interesting, right? Because it's like, it's sort of like, obviously in most cases you maybe want the person involved, but also should they really, if they're bad, or if they've done something bad, which obviously there's kind of tries to expose a light to both, maybe some of the bad behaviour from both of them. Do you want them there saying, well, no, don't present me like that because I look bad, right? I mean, you had the whole problem obviously with the Apprentice movie, for example, about Trump, and Trump obviously didn't like the way he was presented in it, and it's like, well, should that movie have been made with his collaboration, if you know what I mean? Most people's instinct would be to say no, they should present him how they think that he should be presented. So it's an artistic thing when you're making a movie about a real person. It is quite interesting. The case is here, though, is obviously the filmmaker is a fan of Prince Nazim, but probably also a fan of Brendan Ingle, whom basically I've read a few reviews of this, and critics do have different things to say about this movie, but the one thing they actually all say is, they say, even though all the advertising is, this is Prince Nazim's story, this is the story of a giant of boxing, a legend's story, basically everyone agrees that Pierce Brosnan as Brendan Ingle, he's the main role, his story, and that's partly some of what Hamid has taken issue with, is that it's slightly told more from his perspective.
It does feel like that from the trailer, so I'm intrigued to hear you say that.
Because it's just because the trailer does kind of give you that indication, because especially they're playing up the star of Pierce Brosnan, especially in that, because he's the biggest star in the movie. But a lot of the sort of the taglines in the movie have been made like it's sort of like watch a boxing legend's story, the story of Britain's greatest boxer, and I mean that's quite a lot of the taglines. But you're right, the trailer does emphasise that relationship more, which I suppose it should. That's the crux of the film, is that between this relationship, coach and fighter, and about how kind of relationship that is kind of made both of them great. They invested in each other, can somehow be torn apart. Again, it weighs heavily on their performances, and that is something that most of the reviews I've read have said that Brosnan and El Marcy are a really great like double act, and really, really work well together. Mark Kermode specifically talked about El Masri, who he's seen in previous film. He said he really disappears into the role. Like, he could hardly believe it was the same actor. So again, I think this is a film where, like, if you're looking for good performances and kind of like a central relationship that's strong, like that's kind of what you're getting out of this film. Because as much as like I'm kind of bigging the real story up of the sport, kind of that sports fans might be boxing fans might be interested in, it's like sports dramas. Like, everyone watches sports dramas. Like, it's not actually just for sports fans, right? How many people are fans of Rocky that don't watch boxing?
Yeah,
a lot of them, because it's a drama at the end of the day. That's actually what it is. You care about Rocky because of his relationship with Adrian, because of he's this kind of underdog guy, and you want him to do well, even regardless of what it would be in, right?
I think that's just part of why it can be so successful as well. Like with Battle of the Sexes as well, that's the one that sticks out in my mind. It's like there is much more to it than the sport. The sport is obviously a huge part of it, a part of the story, and it wouldn't be the same without it, but there is all of these parts of the narrative that are hidden in it that really get the crowd going.
When you marry those two things, that's kind of the way to do a sports drama. But it seems everyone agrees that central relationship is really great. If you two see it, I'd be interested to sort of see your perspectives as someone who probably doesn't know. I imagine, I mean, had you heard the name Prince Naseem Hamed before?
No, I'm glad that you took a moment to just kind of explain the context behind it, because I had no idea about any of it. And I feel like that would, like, it kind of almost not put me off watching it, but there was a bit of me that was a bit hesitant because I had no idea about who he was and the history behind it. But I would like to see it. Yeah, I don't know if I'll like it or not, but there's only one way to find out.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, like, as a general sort of question to you both, if you prefer kind of like that style of biopic where it is about their entire upbringing and you have like their background explained and that ties into who they are when the central story is reached, or if it is sometimes better to just have that kind of the storyline focused on like his main achievements, and that's what we're seeing. What do you think?
Very good question.
Because there's a few different films that I know you're kind of saying, because you have those films. So I know we do see Prince Naseem like when he is young in this movie, but we don't get much focus on it, and then he eventually grows up. Whereas like you said, there's other biopics like Being the Ricardos. It's about one moment in their lives, or even Springsteen, which we had recently, was about only the album Nebraska. It's about like that one thing, right, rather than the cradle to grave story. I don't know, I think I kind of prefer that sort of like one moment or the one significant thing where they can kind of really focus down on the emotionality of that. Otherwise it feels like we're just trying to like spread ground, we're trying to tell people who this person is rather than get like the drama out of it.
I feel like it serves the purpose of making the film so much better when you're not trying to stick every little thing about their life in, and it serves it so well to then take it away from the biopic genre and kind of turn it into, oh, this is actually a film that can be about one sort of thing. Like it's not.
Yeah.
I mean, I've spoken about how I feel like biopics are Oscar bait.
Yeah.
But I feel like that only applies to those ones that are trying to basically be a documentary of an entire lifetime, rather than ones that are taking a specific moment and drilling down and really it does feel like it serves the pace of a movie better, and to kind of nail down on one specific moment of a lifetime.
Agreed. Everything you just said, I feel like if it starts like from when they were younger, that's fine, but it does just feel like they're cramming it in and you can't really get into the nitty-gritty emotional stuff. So I agree with everything you said.
Regardless, I think we're kind of saying we like that emotional intimacy, and that's something that I've kind of read this film does have. And again, Prince Nazim Hamid says that the most moving and best scene in the film is the final scene of the movie. So hopefully this is one where people leave feeling they've got something, they've felt something. They've been moved by the film as they leave the cinema. And if people do want to come to the cinema to see this film, Giant, and experience Prince Nazim and Brendan Ingle's story, you have two opportunities. We have a screening on Friday the 6th of February at 7:30, and another the following day on Saturday the 7th, also at 7:30. So it's one that I am definitely going to come and see, especially as a big combat sports fan.
Love it. I'm excited for it, and it's something. It's one of those films that I wouldn't necessarily go and see, but because of what you've said about it, and because I'm at the cinema, it's definitely something that's good. I've already got my ticket for it, so yeah. So we do have a film coming up. It's a kids' film. I'm not going to go into detail like as if I would if I was talking about it, but there's something special about two of the screenings that we're doing for this film. So the film is Goat. It is about a goat. It is an animated kids' film. Great cast. It's got Caleb. Sorry, I can't say his name while my nose is blocked. From Stranger Things, Caleb. My God, I can't.
Caleb McLaughlin? Is this?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry, we have Caleb.
Lucas from Stranger Things.
We've got Lucas from Stranger Things. I can't even say Stranger Things. Stranger Things. Voicing the goat, which is the main character of this film. It is also from the studio behind Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and the artists that made K-pop Demon Hunters. So it looks great, it looks hilarious, and it's about a goat. Original action comedy set in an all-animal world. The story follows Will, which is the small goat. He has very big dreams. He's a very sporty goat. Never thought I'd say that in my life. Who gets basically a once-in-a-lifetime chance to join the pros and play raw ball, which is kind of like basketball, but it's all contact. It's full contact, sorry. And all of the other animals on this team are, very big, broad, quite mean looking. They're not mean, but kind of that very intimidating posture. And there's this little goat that's like amazing skills, but doesn't kind of live up to the visual aspect of this sport. But that is basically the story behind it. So it is about a goat. And a little bit of context behind this. We were in a management meeting and we were just talking about the upcoming programme, upcoming films. And then I don't even know what happened, but I feel like in the blink of an eye, someone, it may have been me, said, there's a farm on the school premises, which is on the same premises as the cinema. I'm sure they have goats. Why can't we do something with them for this film? I don't know what happened, and we kind of all laughed and giggled, and nothing else was said. And then a couple of days later, it might have been about one day later, I was just sat minding my own business, and I had a message come through on Teams, and it was from Jason, the business manager, and he just went, I hope you weren't joking about goats for Goat. And then that was it. And then another message came through, and it said, because we've got them. And I was like, what? What do you mean?
A request elaboration.
Exactly. So I was too busy crying on the floor, like, what is happening, out of laughter. Anyway, so long story short, We have so Goat is on 6 times throughout February. So it starts on Sunday the 8th of February, and it also is on daily during February half term. So Sunday the 8th, 14th, 16th, 17th, 19th, 20th of February. Those are all of the Goat screenings. However, there are 2 extra screenings which are kind of nestled in these 6 dates, and these are the 2 special ones. So Saturday the 7th of February at 2:30 and Wednesday the 18th of February at 2:30. There will be the film as normal. However, after the film, the agricultural science unit at County High, we've partnered up with them, and they are basically going to have a pen outside the cinema. It's not going to be on the side you come in, so it's not going to be on the right hand side of the cinema. It'll be on the left hand side of the cinema. It's undercover. They will have a pen all penned off, and they will have goats for people to come and meet and greet. So it's wild. I can't believe I'm actually saying this. I think it's amazing, and I think it's brilliant to be able to actually work with them. But yeah, they're going to bring some goats. It is a ticketed thing, so you can just come to the film, and then you can either pay in advance or even on the day. It's £3.50 for anyone who wants to meet a goat, basically. And after the film is finished, people that don't want to meet goats, they will just exit as normal. People who have tickets to meet the goats will literally go out the left-hand side of the building. The doors will be opened up, and there will be goats in pens. But yeah, so under ones can meet goats for free. That's a little bit of a side note, but everyone else is £3.50 per person, and the money will be going to the ASU, which is the agricultural science unit. They're great. They have so many animals. They have ferrets, they have sheep, they've got goats, obviously, and they have some great kind of like holiday camps for kids, where they kind of teach kids about how to handle animals and how to care for them, and then it's got like the kind of for the older people, the younger young people. That didn't come out right. For young people that are kind of interested in the agricultural world, they do have some great courses, and they work with some great people. So I'm really excited to work with them. This is such a wild thing that I just can't stop laughing about it.
I just think this is amazing. Like, you're not getting this at any of the mainstream cinema.
Exactly.
No.
You're not going to go to Cineworld and meet some goats, are you?
Exactly.
No.
But yeah, no, it's just, I'm so excited, and also I don't think this is the only opportunity that we're going to work together. That's all I'm going to say. Oh. But we'll see how this goes. But yeah, you can pre-book. It'd be great if people can pre-book. If not, you can pay on the day. Yeah, come down and meet some goats. Give them a little head scratch. Great. But yeah, let's move swiftly on from goats. That also does look like a really good film, but you know, you have the goats as well. But yeah, let's move on. Take it away, Amelie.
I'm going to be talking about a film that has also been very kind of monumental at the Oscars this year. It's a record-breaking Norwegian film called Sentimental Value. And just to let you know about the Oscars, the Oscar nominations that it has already received: Best Picture, Best International Feature, Best Actress, Best Director, 2 Best Supporting Actress nominations, Best Supporting Actor, Best Original Screenplay, and Best Editing. And it's now the most awarded Norwegian film ever. And it's the first Norwegian film to get a nomination for Best Picture. And, I mean, it's a really, really great it's a really great recognition for kind of the country as a whole. Mm-hmm. And there's been kind of talk from the CEO of the Norwegian Film Institute, and I have a quote from him here. He says, the Oscar nominations for Sentimental Value is a major artistic recognition for Joachim Trier, who is the director, and the substantial collective effort behind the film, an effort that has resulted in an unprecedented achievement for a Norwegian feature film. This confirms that Norwegian cinema is one of the highest international level, and that a long-term commitment to artistic freedom and artistic excellence can give truly extraordinary results. The international impact of Sentimental Value strengthens the confidence, visibility, and leverage for Norwegian cinema, and this momentum must be sustained and developed further. I think it's just kind of really nice to hear from so many people, I mean, that Norway have had such a long-term commitment to upholding the arts, which is just, as you can see, like it's really important to them as a country that Norway has seen and heard. I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen this one yet, but I am really, really looking forward to it. It's a drama / tragicomedy about two sisters, Nora and Agnes, who reunite with their estranged father, Gustav, a once renowned director who offers the main character, Nora, a role in what he hopes will be his comeback film. She turns it down, but soon discovers he's given it to an eager young Hollywood star, Rachel. The two siblings must navigate a complicated relationship with Gustav whilst dealing with an American dropped right into the middle of their complex family dynamic. Now, Joaquin Trier, who is the director, you may have seen some of his work. He directed The Worst Person in the World, which we had on a few years ago. I saw The Worst Person in the World at Saffron Screen for the first time, and it's honestly one of my favorite films. It's so beautiful in the way that it portrays relationships and characters and growing up, and as would be expected from kind of from the most well-performing international features, they often tend to go for the more indie. So obviously this one is an independent film, but indie style movies where
kind of character
and character and relationship is a big plot point. Which was very, very clear in Worst Person in the World. It's beautiful. It's one of my favourite films ever, but he's brought back the same co-writer as he used for The Worst Person in the World. I don't want to butcher any of these names, so I guarantee I'll get some of them wrong, but her name is Eskil Vogt, I think, and he's also brought back... Go on.
I should say, I mean, I don't know if I heard you wrong, but Eskil Vogt is a man. I thought you said her.
No, sorry. I was, yeah. He's brought back his co-writer, Eskil Vogt, and, sorry, the main actress, Renelle Rinishi. I honestly have absolutely butchered that. But she played the main role in The Worst Person in the World, and she was also in... another movie by Joaquin Trier, Oslo,
August 31st. This is in that Oslo trilogy. Yeah.
Which he released in like 2011, I believe. So yeah, they've been working together for a while now. It also stars Elle Fanning as the kind of the American actress who is dropped in and is working on this film that their father's creating, and their father is played by Stellan Skarsgård, obviously an incredible actor of our generation, but he is Swedish, so it's interesting to see that he's been doing this Norwegian film. Elle Fanning obviously has been nominated for Best Supporting Actress, along with the other supporting actress for this film, who plays Nora's sister. Again, I will absolutely butcher this one, but her name is...
Yep.
Oh.
You're going to look up a pronunciation guide.
Yeah. Inga Ibsdotter Liljas.
Yep.
There's been a lot of critical acclaim for these performances. I mean, it's really nice to see Elle Fanning nominated for something, but then again, it is so nice to see kind of the the international performances recognised as much as it would be weird, you know, if Elle Fanning was the only person recognised for her acting in this. So it is nice to see that they've got quite a stack of the actors nominated this year.
Yeah, because I mean, it's been quite a recent change in the Oscars. The Oscars Academy, like the Academy, is actually now a lot more diverse in terms of the nations that it comes from, because it's largely been quite American dominated, which obviously makes sense because that's kind of what it is based around. But it's become a lot more international in recent years, and I think that is why we're seeing these recognition of international performances, because often, unfortunately, films that get seen more and are American tend to get more obviously critical acclaim or widespread knowledge. And so those are the films that are nominated more. And then you kind of get these performances which are great, but you just know are never going to go anywhere. Like I thought even Titan was a film that had a lot of attention, for example, a few years ago. But I thought Agathe Rozel's performance in that was brilliant, but I knew she was never going to be nominated because it was a French film. It just was never going to happen. So it's nice to see a film like this where performances are happening in different languages. Of course, this is a film that actually uses multiple languages, including English at points. Of course, Elle Fanning, I believe, only speaks English. So obviously, maybe there's a little bit of a kind of a getting around this slightly, but it's still nice to recognise a performance in a different language, which usually critics and especially awards don't really go for.
It is interesting to wonder if the reason it has been so accessible is because of Elle Fanning's casting. I mean, I do think that if her role hadn't have been such a big part in the film, maybe it wouldn't have received as much recognition, because it is so much more accessible to American and English audiences, because there are quite a few scenes where she speaks to the father and the two sisters, and they're speaking only in English.
Yes.
So it does make you wonder. I've been talking a lot about how I feel like this year's Oscars are more directed at people who truly love film. And obviously that's a very bold statement to make, but I do think that in previous years, very recently even, it's been sort of more accessible to the general public, kind of the wheelhouse of films that have been nominated. Maybe this year, films that have been nominated are films that truly speak to people that are so invested in the creation of film. And I mean, this is a film about filmmaking, so it does feel like these films this year have been directed to people that truly love film, if that makes any sense.
I mean, obviously Oscars this year did nominate Sinners, which was a financially successful movie, and a big movie at that. But I know what you're trying to say. And it's interesting when a film does cover filmmaking itself. Despite that, thinking maybe it's a bit inside baseball, I think this is, like you said, this is the most successful, I believe, financially, Norwegian film ever made. So maybe that effect isn't quite showing itself, as sometimes people theorise when something is too much about itself, if you like. Because again, this seems like one where the filmmaking is maybe the layer on top
Sidelines.
For a relationship drama, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was gonna say, it feels like the filmmaking is a way to kind of set the tone for the film, whereas its main focus is on the relationship that these two sisters have, and then the relationship that they each have with their father, and then the relationship that their father has with this new Hollywood star that has come in and kind of, I'm guessing they feel like she's sort of replacing them as his new daughter. I mean, it does feel like it's going to be a film that's going to surprise me in terms of relationships and the development of these characters. I asked my friend who has seen it to write me a little review She said that she felt like each character's intentions and desires are portrayed beautifully and painstakingly, and they transcend the multilingual boundaries of the film, moving the audience with their ability to authentically connect in both familiar ways and otherwise. For example, Rachel, played by Elle Fanning, and Stellan Skarsgård's character Gustav, forming a relationship between two workers in the film industry despite their generational differences. So yeah, it does seem like a relationship that will be quite well portrayed in it. She says that the film feels stunningly invasive, feeling like you're being subjective to a real family's argument and livelihood inside the house that is favoured so strongly and described so beautifully that it feels like a character in and of itself. So their own
God, get her on the podcast. What is this?
I know.
Yeah, what is this? Stunningly invasive. I'm going to use that at some point. God.
I think that's
so film critic over here. Yeah.
Their house feeling like a character. I mean, it is to be expected from this sort of genre of film where you have, you have a knowledge of their background and their background as a family so much deeper. It will be interesting to see how kind of the title fits into that character of the house, kind of finding sentimental value in locations and memories and sort of specific objects in the house. I have a feeling that will be quite prevalent.
All good stuff.
And so if we did want to see Sentimental Value, if the title is intriguing enough to us and everything you've said is something we might be interested in, when can we see Sentimental Value at Saffron Screen?
So if you would like possibly the greatest double bill I've ever seen, Goat is on Sunday the 8th at 2:30 and Sentimental Value is on that evening at 7:30.
Perfect.
So
yeah.
I think that might be one I'm going to go for.
You've got to pick. You can do Goat and Giant, or you can do Goat and Sentimental Value. You have both choices available to you.
Wow.
Yeah. Somehow I don't think all of these films are going to have the same crossover of being the same people going to see them. I think they might have their own audiences. These films.
Wonder what brings you to that conclusion.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh dear. No, I mean February's got. Obviously we've got half time, so we're open a bit more. But so we've got obviously the kids' film as well. But other titles that I'm literally just gonna quickly scroll through and read a couple of titles out. I'm not going to go into any of them, but so we've got H is for Hawk on again. I think it's one of the last screenings. We've got National Theatre Live. We've got Hamlet. We've got Rental Family. There are, I believe, 4 more chances to see Hamnet, although they are selling out. We've got Royal Ballet and Opera Wolfworks, Tale of Cillian,
which is a Macedonian film, we should say.
Yes,
I know a lot of people are missing a lot of the foreign language films. We've got a few.
We've got that on. That is the 16th of February in the half term. We've got Marty Supreme. We've got That's the Last Chance to See It. Hamlet, which is not Hamnet. It is a modern retelling of Hamlet. We've also got the National Theatre Live Hamlet as well. So we've got Hamlet, Hamnet, and Hamlet. So just be careful when you're booking your tickets, guys. We've got Nouvelle Vague, which is French with English subtitles, Wuthering Heights, and that's kind of sees us into the beginning of March, which is already looking to be a good March from the draft programme. But yeah, so we've got some great titles who are open for half term. We've got Goats, we've got biopics, we've got live theatre. It's all that good stuff in there. So check out the programme, which is all on sale now. So you can check it out at saffronscreen.com, or you can book in person at the box office or the Tourist Information Centre in Saffron Walden. So you're spoilt for choice, guys.
I was just going to say, this is really a giant month for cinema. But we might really see a film that's the GOAT.
Hey! Oh, I love it. I love a good pun.
And that's what we love cinema for, isn't it? You know, the sentimental value.
Oh my goodness, I knew that was coming.
Okay.
See,
gotta get in there. Yeah.
It's the podcast that just keeps giving, isn't it?
It's incredible.
Great. Oh, the one other thing I will say that we'll have more on it, but 2026 is a very special year for Saffron Screen, because in May we are turning 20, so it's a very, very important year for us. We've got things in the works. We've got really exciting things for staff and volunteers. We've got stuff for customers. I shouldn't say stuff, it's like really exciting plans, not stuff, but all good things. We've got great celebrations coming up, collaborations for those celebrations, but more will obviously come near the time. But it is the start of a new year, although it is February. We didn't have an episode in January, but it's a good year for us. So yeah, just keep your ears and eyes peeled, because we'll be announcing things as we get closer to May, about things you can get involved in, or you can attend, or reflect on your cinema trips. So yeah, to see our full programme of films and times, you can visit our website at www.saffronscreen.com, where you can book tickets, buy gift cards, sign up to our mailing list, and even become a member. Follow us on our socials, which is at Saffron Screen, where you'll be kept up to speed day to day with everything happening at the cinema. This includes Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, because why not? You've been listening to Frame by Frame, a podcast by Saffron Screen, your local non-profit cinema in Saffron Walden, and we will see you at the cinema.